So this question is an inference type question, which means that we use the text to make claims that are indicated but not explicitly stated. So for these inference type questions, it's usually a good idea to read the inference before the text. That way, when you review the text, you can keep the inference in mind, which helps you more easily answer the question. So that inference says, the happiness level in some countries can be higher or lower than in others with the same personal income levels. And your job is to determine whether this inference is true, probably true, if there is insufficient data, probably false, or false. So with that in mind, let's review the text. The text reads, there are 3 general groups of countries that show the relationship between personal income and happiness levels. In some countries, such as Germany, both personal incomes and happiness levels have increased at the same rate over the past 10 years. So if we want to represent that visually, we can use one of these graphs. We can label this one G for Germany. And again, in Germany, both personal incomes and happiness levels have increased at the same rate. So that would look something like this. We have a positive linear correlation. As income level increases, happiness increases, and they increase at the same rate. Now, the text continues. In others, which is to say other countries, such as China, personal incomes have doubled over the past decade, but the average happiness has increased only by 0.43 points. So this is less than a double in happiness. So we see a fundamentally similar relationship as what we saw for Germany, where both the happiness and income level are increasing, but just not at the same rate. So again, if we want to represent this visually, we can write C for China, and we can draw that relationship, which would look something like this. Again, happiness is increasing, and income level is increasing. But the rate at which income level is increasing is greater than the rate that happiness is increasing. Then, if we return to the text, it concludes by saying, in 43 countries, including India and the United States, incomes have risen, but happiness levels have declined. So this is essentially the opposite trend, which we can depict like this. And we can write US to represent this. So again, opposite of Germany and China, where happiness and income level is increasing. In the US, for example, the income levels have increased, but happiness has been decreasing. So based on all of that, what do we think about the inference? Again, let's reread the inference. The happiness level in some countries can be higher or lower than in others with the same personal income levels. Well, we know that it can be either higher or lower. So for example, again, in the Germany example, we see that as income level increases, happiness is increasing. But then we see in the US, as income level is increasing, happiness is actually decreasing. So for this reason, we can eliminate probably false and false. Now furthermore, it's fair to eliminate insufficient data because we have enough to have some insight into this inference. We do have enough data to make some claim. So again, these bottom 3 options are not correct. Then we have to decide between true or probably true. Now another way to understand true is to say definitively true. We have the data to say this conclusively. And that would require the text to say so explicitly. But it doesn't. We do have enough data to make a claim, but we don't have enough data to make a claim with 100% confidence. We don't have the text saying this explicitly. So therefore, the correct answer is probably true.